What's up, everybody? Ben Razzie here for Stokastic, and we are here. It is the finale. The golf season really never ends, and I'm sure before I know it, I'll be welcoming you to swing season, the President's Cup, something else. But in the meantime, Tour Championship is upon us. We only have a handful of golfers left. They have been assigned starting strokes. We're going to talk about all that. We'll see which of these 30 is able to take it down. Can someone catch Scheffler and put a stamp on what would be a wild season and a great finish? And for us, try to make some money in the DFS world. That's what we're here to do. I'm going to go through the course, break it down, go to our data hub, and look through the plays, and we're going to talk about them here. So I want to welcome you into Stokastic, all things DFS, from the tools to the process, the analysis. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, be part of the 100. That we're about to hit 100,000 subs, which is absolutely unreal. Can't thank everyone enough. Well, let's get into it. So we go to East Lake. We know what we're getting into. We can look backwards. Last week at BMW, we talked about Keegan and all that, but really it's the FedEx Cup. Guys are moving up and down the standings. We had Decky withdraw last week. He's back, says he's ready to go, or going to try to be ready to go. He's sitting in third place. Keegan moved up all the way to fourth place. So there's been some movers, some risers, some fallers. Obviously, some guys didn't even make it and all that, but I think it's somewhat irrelevant. We know what the task at hand is. We got to talk about this course, and we're going to talk about this format. Now let's get into it. So East Lake, we see it every single year here, is a difficult, in my opinion, par 70, Donald Ross design, fast greens. It's not easy to hit these fairways. You're going to be tested, no doubt about it. At times, if it's calm conditions, you can score. I shouldn't say that's, a complete torture chamber. That's probably overstating it. But if you don't have it, it's going to be difficult. You got to try to take advantage of the couple par fives that you get. You definitely have to be somewhat aggressive off the tee at times, but at the end of the day, you know what you need to bring here. These are the best players in the world. At the end, there's 30 of them. You got to ball strike your way. You got to attack these long par fours, approach shots, being able to putt on Bermuda, all the same stuff that we talk about pretty often. I'd say it's more of a ball striker's course than a putting contest or anything like that. One thing that did stand out, though, is you're going to have a good amount, I'd say, of, some pretty moderate to longer irons. Some of these type of holes definitely lend itself to, even if you're aggressive off the tee, it's not going to be that easy to have wedges into your hand on some of these. So if you stay out of the thick stuff, you'll have opportunities. If you're spraying off the tee, you're in this rough, good luck. That could be a problem. When we bring up the field, obviously, if you're unfamiliar with the Tour Championship, so this is what happens. We have 30 guys left. What they do is they assign starting strokes to the players. So Scotty Scheffler starts the tournament at 10 under. For DFS purposes, he gets the finishing points applied, but obviously those are fluid. He doesn't get anything else. It's not like he gets like 10 birdies added or anything. So keep that in mind. And then they go all the way down. So Scheffler's at 10 under, Xander's at 8 under, Decky's at 7 under, Keegan's at 6, Abear at 5, and then you start to get groups. You have 5 guys at 4 under, you've got 5 guys at 3 under, you've got 5 guys at 2 under, 5 guys at 1 under, and 5 guys at even par. So they start 10 strokes off the lead. You got 72 holes to make up. It's plenty of time. We've seen it time and time again. Guys can really get in the hunt quickly, fire off a really good round. It can change that fast. But if Scheffler goes low, obviously, he's already got a nice cushion to start with. So with that in mind, let's just start to breeze through this field. We will, I'll tell you this much. I guarantee I mentioned the winner in this video because we only got 30 golfers, and I'm talking about every single one of them. So we lead off with Scheffler and Xander and Decky. 7 under, 8 under, 10 under. It's hard to think that you're not going to want any of these guys. Now, the interesting thing, there's a lot of like game theory and just uniqueness that goes into this tournament because of the format. So the thing that's interesting to me, the leverage is actually increased here because Scotty Scheffler, if he plays poorly, not only is he going to play poorly, but his finishing points that he was applied will start to decrease. So you're really saying, okay, these guys that are chasing, not only if they rise up, are they going to move up the board, but a guy like Scheffler, a guy like Xander, they didn't accumulate the birdies and the streaks associated to get where they are. Now they're the best players in the world, and I have a feeling that they will play quite well. Scheffler's 12,200. He's going to be extremely popular. I'm more of the school of I'll probably build lineups trying to beat him. If you're building a bunch of lineups, I think it would be absolutely crazy not to have a healthy amount of him in the pool. But you could take a nuanced position. You could have 30% and still short him. And if he wins, you have 30% of your lineups with the winner, something along those lines. Decky to me is the real wild card. He will not be as owned as he would have been because he withdrew last week. I'm sure a lot of people are apprehensive to go there, and he's sitting in a really nice position. So if that was precautionary, if that was, for lack of a better term, just Decky being Decky because he does some stuff like this, I think that maybe that's where the leverage comes in. So you have him and Abear, who I did like a little last week, that I think makes sense. But it is pretty clear that you're probably going to need one of these guys. I mean, I don't think the board crumbles to the degree that the top like 5 or 6 guys aren't in the mix. I don't think it's a given that, Scheffler and Xander are right there, but I think it's pretty clear that someone up here is going to play well. And if they do, they will be there. Now, again, I know I just said this. You're not getting those birdies. So they start from zero in terms of accumulating raw points, but obviously they'll have a lead in the finishing position. As we scroll down, the guys at the top of the salary are the guys basically at the top of the board. Keegan would be the one who's probably most misplaced, not in the sense that it's wrong, just in the sense that Keegan sits in 4th position on his own. He's 6 under starting, but he is, what is that? A little further down the board, 7th in terms of the salary. He obviously played quite well last week. Very, very credit to him to take down that field. And it was all ball striking. He didn't putt a lick. That is kind of typical Keegan, but it just shows where his tee to green game is at. Could you go right there? He's someone that you're getting some nice starting strokes without breaking the bank. I mean, you've got guys like Rory and Morikawa ahead of him. They're in perfect position as well. They're both sitting T6, 4 under, 6 off the lead. That is fine to be able to hunt them down. Rory, I really don't know what exactly the deal is. The good news with him, he's not going to be super popular. They're all going to be popular because we have 30 guys. But Rory showed some signs. So at St. Jude, he was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. He lost 8 strokes putting and he lost 4 strokes off the tee. He was just terrible. At the BMW, he rebounded. It wasn't vintage Rory by any stretch, but he gained strokes in all 4 categories. He putted much better. I think just overall, I have less concerns about Rory. Morikawa, I'm not super concerned, but I will say his irons have just been not up to par for his standards, or really any of these standards. He's lost strokes on the approach in both of these FedEx events. He lost severely at St. Jude. He couldn't putt at the BMW. Gonna have to make a move again because he doesn't have the luxury of just sitting back. There are too many guys ahead of these guys. They're gonna have to make a move. So for me, when I look at the top of the board, if I was going to play a leverage spot, it would be Decky. I think Xander's the safest play. Him and Scheffler are kind of what they are. They're going to be extremely popular, and they should be. Rory, I'm fine with. Keegan, a lot of people are going to put Keegan as their second man in, and I totally get it. I think that'll be a very chalky build, and I didn't talk about that at the top. This is the type of week you definitely want to leave some salary on the table or try to be different because there's just not that many combinations. And you want to try to minimize your dupes as much as possible. Scrolling down, Patrick Cantlay and Sam Burns. Again, these are guys that are in position, no doubt about it. Cantlay is also another guy that's ahead. I didn't even mention him, of a guy like Keegan. He's 9,400. He's projecting, and these will update, but not to be super popular, only 19%, which in this field is not a lot. When you look at what Cantlay's done, solid without being really there. 12th at St. Jude, 13th at BMW. Average at best. Irons, putter is in pretty good shape. Feels like he's pretty close, but we're literally out of time. It's now or never. But I do think he's a pretty solid play, and I think most people will look elsewhere in the 9K range, which does give him some utility. Sam Burns does what Sam Burns does on Bermuda, which is just absolutely roll it. The guy's just been putting out of his mind the last 2 events, 5th and 2nd, but he gained 7 and 6.5 strokes putting. That's great if he keeps it up, but if he doesn't, what does he give you? So he's a kind of boom bust option that you could look to here. Not super high on him, to be honest. I think he grades out pretty normal. The leverage doesn't pop off the screen. Now we scroll down a little bit and we start to get into guys that are in the middle of the pack. Easily could win this if they have a huge week. There's no doubt about it. But when you start looking at Hovland, he sits at 2 under to get started. When you look at Wyndham Clark, he's at 4 under. Um, I'm still more prone to go to Hovland and just really hope that we don't have to get into a scramble fest. He was second at St. Jude, and then you look, he was 26th at the BMW. Not much different. The only difference was he gained 3 strokes putting in St. Jude. He lost 6 stroke putting at BMW out in Castle Rock. That doesn't tell the story. What are you going to do? If you lose 6 strokes putting, you're not going to have a top end finish on tour. Adam Scott, Tony Finau, Tommy Fleetwood, Sungjae Im, Russell Henley. This is the 7K range. And like I said, you don't have the option of pivots because there's 30 guys in this field. Where do these guys start? All middle of the pack type guys. Scott 3 under, Finau 3 under, Fleetwood 1 under. Sungjae, I believe, is at, what is he at? 3? Yeah, 3 under. So these are guys looking to move up the board. Obviously, one really good round and they get right back in the hunt. And I like this range. I think this is a pretty target rich range. You've got 4 right off the bat: Scott, Finau, Fleetwood, and Sungjae, that I'm pretty comfortable with. And I'll actually roll Russell Henley in there as well. He's got Bermuda splits. He can putt. When I look at what they've been doing, just to dig a little bit, Tony Finau's been a guy that I've been targeting quite a bit. He was 13th last week and he lost 6 strokes putting. I think he is poised to really, really move up this board if he can just sync up that putter with the ball striking. Fleetwood's tee to green game has been absolutely on fire all year. The wins aren't what we want, but he was 5th at BMW, gained another couple strokes off the tee, another couple strokes with the irons. These are the type of performances, again, if they move up the board, they're probably going to pay some dividends. Sungjae, same thing. He lost strokes putting at BMW, but he was 11th. Solid tee to green. He had a little hiccup at St. Jude, but it was all off the tee. That's a very variance course because of the water. So when I look at this range, I really want to get healthy exposure to these guys. I probably shouldn't neglect to talk about Adam Scott. Let's just make sure we do our due diligence here because he's someone that's also played really, really well. Runner up last week, no doubt about it. And it was really good short game, really good irons. Definitely can replicate it. Obviously, he's got loads of experience, here and everywhere else. I'm fine with it. I do have him slightly behind a couple of the guys that I talked about. Very small margins. When you look at what we've got going on here at Stokastic, you see the projection very close. You're talking about a couple points difference, but Finau does grade out slightly better. Sungjae grades out slightly better. Even Fleetwood. So for me, it's a range where I definitely envision taking who I think is going to win up top, one of those big names, and then taking like 3 or 4 of these chasers and seeing where I land to round out the lineup. I like that look quite a bit in this field. Lowry, Benyon, Billy Ho, Thigala, Bhatia, Justin Thomas, who snuck in and it'll probably cost me a little more money. One thing that stands out here, as you can see, no surprise, ownership comes down a little bit here. These are going to be these secondary options, your 4th, your 5th, maybe even your 6th guy in to your lineups. And it's a lot of small margins. No surprise. Also, most of these guys, they're 1 under, they're 2 under. In JT's case, he's actually last. He's even. He's in that group there. So to really win, you need a lot. But you don't have to win the tournament. We're talking about DFS. If they move up the board, they only accrue raw points in the sense that they're not starting with any extra finishing points. This is kind of like a round. If you play Showdown, the round 4 Showdown mentality, where you have a guy and he starts in first, but he hasn't done anything. Obviously, he played well the first 3 days. That's a little different than this, but just in the sense that you don't get the raw points associated with what would be where they landed in. So I do like targeting some of these guys because if they do play well, not only are you going to get streaks, bonuses, and things like that, it's pretty clear that their finishing points are going to increase along. And starting from the back, they won't be nearly as popular. Now, every single week, I try to make the case for Justin Thomas, and this is another week, and I will once again try to do that. I look at JT, and what the hell happened last week? The same thing that I talked about all year. And I'm not saying it's going to change this week, but I'm saying that when a guy is losing 5.5 strokes putting, it's hard to really take a lot from the tournament. He came in 39th. He's positive with the approach, positive around the green, and he absolutely couldn't buy one. If he can just get the off the tee game a little better and fix this putter, JT is very poised at 6,800 to be a good anchor for your lineups. Benny Ons had really, really good driving numbers all year. If you want to go off the tee heavy, the Gallo would be another guy in that bucket. Billy Ho has come on strong at this time of the year, no doubt about it. 22nd last week, and he started to lose it a little with the putter. He gets back to Bermuda. That's a big win for him. He's a Florida guy. This just region in general, I think, helps out Billy Ho. I have him behind Benny On. I have him behind JT. He's in that bucket with those other guys. So I will let the Sims do their work. And if I get some, I'll be fine with that. And I did mention the Sims and what we're doing here with the data hub, the single lineup simulator, the contest generator, all of it. It's all part of what we're doing at Stokastic. Whether you're talking PGA or other sports, this process, it's been very successful for a lot of people. I'm using it. I'm loving the way my lineups are coming out. Does it mean that I'm at the top of the leaderboards every week? No, definitely not. But does it put me in a position where I feel really good about the process? I think I'm giving myself real chances in large field tournaments. Absolutely. And I've always had the philosophy: put yourself in a position to get lucky. These tools can do just that. It's a sound process, really good data, and I really think that the future is this type of thing, where you're able to put your own spin on it. So if you're interested in that, the links are below. Talk about some other things that are going on, not just here, but on the on shopper side as well. Let's get to the the bottom of the range. There's like two more guys. Sepp Straka, Bobby Mack, Taylor Pendrith, Aaron Rye, Bez is here, Christian Kirk. I'm in NFL mode. Chris Kirk, Tom Hoagie, and Mr. Pavone. These are going to be your last man in. Bobby Mack withdrew last week as well. You see positive leverage on Chris Kirk. He's only 6,200. Everyone's going to have ownership. There's no way to be sneaky, but these are going to be the guys with the least amount of ownership. So if you're looking to maybe be a little different, to try to leave some salary on the table, I think what you're probably going to be looking at is maybe targeting a couple of these guys at the bottom of your lineups. Kirk played pretty well last week. He was ninth. Pendrith, a guy who's had some off the tee success. I want to talk about Bez because if you've watched this video all year, and I appreciate it, it's important that we mention my guy. It wasn't good last week. He lost off the tee, and he actually lost around the green, which broke a streak dating back to March. I'm throwing the open out because I don't have strokes gain data. But before that, guy's been automatic there. So that's going to have to pick up quickly and return. Can it? Of course it can. Absolutely. This is where skill set stacks come into play for me. Drivers, give me Pendrith. Short game, give me Bez. Irons, give me Kirk or Tom Hoagie. Aaron Rye as well. Those guys just pure tee to green. And we'll see what's what. I don't think I'm going to get to Pavone. Probably going to throw him out of the pool. Just hope I can get away with it. Because there's, with only 30 guys, if you build like 150 or something, you might have shares of everyone. That's just the nature of what we're doing here. But I look at this, for me, I think this is just the bottom half of the range is more to differentiate than anything else. Could one of these guys get in the mix? I'm sure someone will have a really good week, but you're asking guys to make up 10, 8, 7 strokes on the world's best players. Tough task, but they could have pertinent use in DFS lineups, no doubt. So there we have it. We just went through 30 guys and talked about this course. Hopefully, we now have a little better what the game plan is when we go to East Lake looking for a win at the Tour Championship. If you have any questions about anything I talked about, at JazzRazBets on Twitter, absolutely happy to help, want to help, and hope to see you inside the ropes at Stokastic. And final thing for me, I do want to mention, if you bet sports, bet golf, bet college football, what we've got going on at OddsShopper is absolutely awesome. I have my brand new marketplace package. What does it mean? It's pretty simple. I'll sum it up like this. You get access to me. You're able to get into my Discord. If you want some picks, we absolutely are throwing them out there. A fun community as well. If you want to talk strategies, hey, this is what I've been doing. I've been doing this or that. Happy to walk through and just we're learning from each other. So if you're saying, man, a lot of games are coming down, I haven't prepped for college football, I have, and I would be more than happy and super, super excited for you to come on in. It's right there. You can come in, join me. Link will be below. We will see it in there. And let's just run it up. Going to be a great year in the golfing world and beyond. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Awesome season. Like I said, golf doesn't go anywhere. So this is not a goodbye for the off season. I'll see you absolutely soon. But let's try to put our mark on the Tour Championship as a great way to end things. So for me, for the 30 golfers that made it, for Eastlake, and for all of you guys, good luck this week. Let's take down some tournaments, and I'll talk to you soon.